Oma na kiki o Hawaiian.
Major funding for this program provided by James and Abigail Campbell Family Foundation, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Pacific Islanders and Communications, and the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts.
Lahaina is known mostly as a worldwide tourist destination. But the trappings of its vibrant visitor industry, the storefronts and crowds, can hide the richness of its past. To really find Lahaina, one needs to look beneath the surface.
Aloha, I'm Eddie Kamae. You know, when I visited Lahaina in 1999, a friend of mine told me they were closing the Pioneer Sugar Mill in 8 days. And in that moment, I decided to tell the story of Lahaina, the real Lahaina.
Eddie's search for the real Lahaina brought him face to face with wave after wave of change. He found that Lahaina was one of the earliest Polynesian settlements in Hawaii. As the first capital of the Hawaiian nation, it was the epicenter of some of the most turbulent periods of change. Its history is so significant that in 1962, Lahaina was designated a National Historic District. It is and will always be a sacred Hawaiian place.
My mother comes from Lahaina. My grandmother comes from Lahaina. My father and my grandfather went to Lahainaluna school. I also met my wife here. My grandmother's kauhai likua o pului. During my childhood days, my mother would take us during the summertime, take us to Lahaina to visit my grandmother. And my grandmother was a very reserved woman because she didn't speak English and she wouldn't talk to us in Hawaiian. I was told my grandmother was the dancer for the king's court, King Kalahakawa's court. I remember things during my childhood days in Lahaina. The trains going by, loaded sugar cane, you know, things like that, and we're stealing the canes off the cane cars and eating it, and it was like candy to us. And we love it for one reason, because we could go swimming and have fun, you know, and pick sugar cane and things like that, you know. Even selling mangoes out in the other street area, you know. And there was part of growing up. Now, I'm only thinking, well, what is going to be a symbol that would remind me and others about Lahaina?
As it has for decades, the Pioneer Mill smokestack towers over Lahaina, standing watch over generations of dreams and waves of change. It stood, as always, in silent greeting when Hawaiian music legend Eddie Kamae returned to Lahaina in 1999. It was on that visit that Eddie would learn from his friend Jerry Kunitomo, the owner of BJ's restaurant, that the greeting really meant farewell. Pioneer Mill was closing, almost a century and a half after James Campbell and his partner had started it in 1860. Change once again would challenge Lahaina. Eddie wondered how this chapter of the story would unfold. He went straight to the mill, right up to the manager's office.
So I went there, knocked at the door. He says, "Come in." And he said, "Yes." I said, "I heard you were phasing out in 8 days." He said, "That's true." He said, "Tomorrow's going to be the last burning of the Kamehameha village." And I decided I'd like to tell a story.
There was a Hawaiian. He rides on a big white horse. He too much peku peku que la Filipino, que la Filipino hapaiko. Lai turu, lai turu, lai o.
It was common knowledge that tourism was a better product to have than a sugar plantation on the west side. The cane lands are overgrown with weeds, and it's not very pretty during the summertime when everything's turned brown. The plantation era is done. It's closed, and there is no single organization out there to try and preserve any of the history.
Actually, I'm really sad. Because I have to admit that the plantation gave a lot of us who didn't have an education, gave us a chance to make a living, you know, and finally getting homes for us to purchase in our area so we could afford to buy a home, even though the money was very small, yeah. And then we cover the seed so that it won't move when they irrigate the field. I work every inch of this ground because I worked here for 43 and a half years. Every field I've worked. I mean, I walked every line, planting and all kinds.
The planting is done. The buildings demolished. There is nothing left of the plantation era but memories.
Plantation life mai kai ke hana no ki ko mai ai ki manawa pau ki hana no ki ko piliki no ka po alilo ka hana ki manawa ki kahiko nui ka hana ki manawa pau ka hana.
Lahaina was a real plantation town, and every square foot of land either had a piece of sugarcane growing on it or there was a house on it. In that period of time, everything was done on the plantation by way of hand labor. So there were thousands of employees, and there were camps throughout Lahaina town. The camps were put out for the different people that were brought here. For instance, when the Spanish people were brought, they made a camp for the Spanish people, the Filipino people, Portuguese people, a Japanese camp. But you already had the Hawaiian people here, so there wasn't a camp set up for them. They were already in their homes.
I remember two folks telling me, you know, in our village, Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Filipino, Portuguese, we were all one. We were all Hawaiian because we mingled, married, and we're all one. Everybody eats everybody's food and celebrate everybody's special day.
But before time, you no need worry. You get plenty aloha from the people. The people was nice before.
My parents came to Maui in 1903 from Japan. And in those days, people in Japan, young people in Japan were told that money grows on trees in Hawaii. So many people came. So that's when they decided they wanted to come too.
Hope as they might, they never found the money trees. But they stayed anyway, by the thousands, including the parents of Florence Hasegawa. Almost 100 years old, she still lives in Lahaina as a marriage license registrar, with vivid memories of growing up in Waine'i village, then known as Pump Camp.
We were poor because there were 7 children. I was number 2. My sister was older than me. She was born in 1906. I was born in 1908. My father and mother both worked in the plantation. When we were young, we walked everywhere. There was a wagon, horse-drawn wagon, one wagon. Only when you go to the hospital or in an emergency, somebody rode the wagon, one wagon. But other than that, we walked to hospital, we walked to the school, we walked to the church, we walked everywhere. Only I used to call that big shots. The big shot. All the high managers and supervisors, all the Caucasian big shots, they had cars. Other than that, nobody else had cars. I started to work for the Pioneer Hospital. And I remember the pay was less than 30 for 1 month. But the money must have been valuable because even the fishermen would come and sell fish, maybe a big, maybe aku, maybe 10 cents. Very cheap.
It took an hour to make 10 cents, an hour of back-breaking labor. 10 hours, $1. That's what John Kaia's father earned day after day.
Whether he can Hawaii, as means carrying stocking, burn stocking now, carry. So he said, well, give me a try. So they told him, well, the contract is 50 cents a car. 50 cents a car, railroad car now. Those days they burn a cane, the mill pull the railroad cars in a field. Hawaii manual labor, all. Never had crane. So first he load 2 cars a day. That's 4,000 pounds. That's 2 tons, right? 1 car is 2,000 pounds of raw sugar cane, all black, so burnt sugar cane. And he load 2 cars, was big bucks, that's $1 a day.
Away from the cane fields, food for the family came in more traditional ways, through hard but fulfilling work.
We're fishermen all our life almost. And fishing is, again, add more calluses to your hands. So between fishing and working for the plantation, I'd rather go fishing. I used to get a pig pen straddling this ditch over here. That was the meat on the table. I had a vegetable garden. I had taro in the back of my yard, yeah. I had 4 taro patches, yeah.
There's a lot of taro, beans, there's opu, opai, It all depends how you take care. And when you go, you'll always find something there. You won't starve, that's for sure.
They also grew sugarcane, first for their own use and later to sell. Small sugar mills were built here and there around West Maui. Eventually, the small mills were combined into one big operation, Pioneer Mill Company. It dominated the sugar industry on the west side and Lahaina.
We all came from different areas of the plantation. Going to school together, we all met in school, and even if you came from Wahikuli or from Oluwalu or whatever, we became good friends. And we played sports. All the camps had their own basketball teams or whatever, so we used to go to different areas and play, and that's how we became closer, you know.
Sports brought the tight-knit plantation community even closer. It offered opportunities outside the plantation to people like Shigesh Wakida. In the 1940s, he organized athletic clubs from 10 camps into one. Over the years, he turned pastime into passion as a tennis teacher for Lahaina's children. But more than tennis, he taught them plantation life values.
My dad, coming from Japan, to me, he always stressed education, academic. And he stressed that so much that I had to study hard. And when the day came when he had to tell me in Japanese, son, I'm sorry, you have to start working. I get hard time feeding all the kids. And so I stopped working, I stopped going to school and started working at Pioneer Mill Company. After I quit school, started working, I figured, I cannot be doing this all year round, all my life. So I took up corresponding course. Then I started working in a mill, and I was working in a welding department, maintenance. I became a supervisor in the factory. That's Arthur Ashe. Yeah. He passed away, And he came to Royal Lahaina, that Island Holidays tournament at that time, I spent how many hours every year? Thousands, hundreds and hundreds of hours of training the kids, all for love. I do it for love. I don't charge them nothing. Right, Vanessa, take four.
For 50 years, Shigesh helped shape the children of Lahaina at Mo'olele Park.
Your students don't have to worry because they have the ingredients to go out into this world. Respect and kindness and education.
Yeah, I received that always from that, parents. They really appreciate. They come down here, say, Mr. Wakida, I don't know what I can do for you. You do so much for the kids in Lahaina.
I've been with Shigesh for probably about 25 to 30 years competitively throughout the junior circuits and stuff, and he made it seem that winning wasn't everything, and just teach you to be a humble person, and that you did not need to steal, you did not need to fight.
I've been here now for 50 years and I am tired, and the youngsters looking for somebody who's younger that they can be better in training them up. Nobody can do it for love. No one. All right, up on the net, Sarah.
In 2003, Shigesh Wakida died. For Eddie, it was like losing a brother. They had shared so many memories of times past in old Lahaina. There's a graveyard for plantation workers next to Mala Wharf. It's a place where time pauses, a place to stop, and let what used to be become real once more.
You heard that soft, sweet sound. People, the way they address one another, people that cares for one another. And that's what I saw when I was growing up. Everybody cared. Everybody aloha one another.
That caring embraces the variety of cultures that for centuries has been part of Lahaina. The diversity that sprang from plantation life is still strong and cherished today. But the plantation era marked just one wave of change in Lahaina's long history. At Mo'olele Park, Eddie accidentally stumbled onto clues to ancient stories that historians today are beginning to unearth.
That place is always empty. I couldn't figure out, but we went out there with the kids playing baseball. And when it was my time on bat, I went up and hit the ball. And I started to run towards the first base. And for no reason at all, I couldn't figure that out, I started tumbling and rolling on the red dirt, you know. And I never reached the first base, I was out. But what bothered me is, how did I fall? Nobody tripped me, I just fell, you know, and rolled. And it bothered me for years, and I couldn't figure it out until I went to Lahaina and found out why I fell. Because it's a sacred ground.
Sacred because buried below the baseball diamond is Mokuhinia Pond, the home of the Mo'o goddess Kiha, descended from the famous chiefly line of Pi'ilani. In the center of the pond was a small island named Moku'ula. That was the home of Kamehameha III.
Lahaina has always been sacred and continues to be sacred because the mana of the generations before are maintained there. Mana being that spiritual essence that is in all things.
It was so sacred that canoes in ancient time passing in front of Lahaina would have to lower their sail and paddle by kunoho, bend over to show respect for that sacred land. The mana is still there, diluted, neglected, but never forgotten.
Kamehameha III, Kawikiauli, ruled from Moku'ula between 1837 and 1845. It was a turbulent time as wave after wave of change swept over the new kingdom.
When he was there, he was able to draw upon the ancestral connections to the pond, to Kiha, to the past, and to his genealogy. So to be there on Mokuhinia Pond, on Moku'ula Island, was to be in the realm of his gods, be in the realm of his people. It was a place that he could regain his strength as a Hawaiian.
Kamehameha III came in as a young fellow. He ruled the longest. He lived the longest of the Hawaiian chiefs. And he went through the greatest changes.
In the span of about 50 years, such a tremendous change occurred into this small island nation. We have a changing of religion from a pantheon of gods to the Christian one God. We have the coming of commerce with whaling, an influx of people from around the world. We have the decline of a people from perhaps close to 300,000 to no more than 82,000. The coming of education and reading and writing, all in this span of 50 years. That's one lifetime. One lifetime, and all of these changes, which could have taken several lifetimes to happen, only occurred in one.
Once more we are waved by the northern gale. We are bounding o'er the main.
Life-altering change came with the arrival of whaling ships. By 1841, so many foreigners were coming to Lahaina. The Hawaiian way of life was turned upside down.
Lahaina would have been perfect if the whalers came once and left. Unfortunately, they came and they came and they came. And what happened is Lahaina became the rest spot for all of the whaling ships that were out in the Pacific.
It changed Lahaina from a sleepy little Hawaiian village to a boomtown of taverns, cheap hotels, marketplaces where they could bring their longboats in and pick up water, fresh supplies, hogs, melons, vegetables, fruit.
They gave no concern to the needs and the wants of the people. All they wanted was to take what they could. The women, the lands, the foods.
There's probably about as many bars on Front Street now as there were then. That was called Rotten Row, as a matter of fact.
Rolling down to old Maui.
From the double-hull canoe to the whaling ship was major. Those people were from another planet. All of these shocks, tidal waves of change, of ideas, of perception, rolled in. Whaling ships came small, but by the 1850s, there were 500 at anchor. Whales were not spoken of as endearment, they were spoken of as commodities. Yeah. And that perhaps is the biggest wave that struck Lahaina. Everything is a commodity.
Land was reduced to a commodity during the reign of King Kamehameha III. That resource, so precious to Hawaiians, was now something to be bought and sold. And increasing demand by foreigners for land culminated in the Great Mahele. Poring over 19th century Lahaina land grant maps, Eddie hoped to pinpoint the land of Kauhailikua Opunui, his grandmother.
Okay, this is the Opunui property. It's Land Commission Award 6801, Apana 2. This area over here where this tree is, an opiuma tree, this is where Opunui, which is Kauhailikua's property. And just adjacent to that property, there's an area over here with some rocks. It was like one park, one enclosure, one house enclosure.
The Great Mahele was to encourage private land ownership, which then encouraged continuation of living on the right or the same piece of land.
Some families ended up keeping their land for generations. Others sold to sugar interests. The sugar planters were aggressive in acquiring and developing the land.
Sugar was the next big industry after the whaling industry, and sugar remained king for a long period of time until the 1960s.
Once, there had been a complex network of waterways, canals, marshes, and ponds. Sugar plantations meant the end of the wetlands of Lahaina and all they had nourished.
Lahaina was a place that could support hundreds of people because it was good living. The waters from up in the mountains came down into Lahaina. As a matter of fact, at one time they called it the Venice of the Pacific. With the diversion of the upland waters for the sugar plantation, the lower portions of Lahaina began to dry up. When the lower portions of Lahaina began to dry up, so did Mokuhinia Pond. So it began to be stagnant, and it began to have mosquitoes, and it no longer was the beautiful place that the Ali'is loved.
My grandfather, George Freeland, came to Lahaina in the late 1890s. He built the Pioneer Inn, which still exists today. He constructed that building in 1901. In 1915, this town of Lahaina was a bustling plantation town. And the plantation manager, if I understand at that time, his name was Harry Weinzheimer. And he and my grandfather were talking one day, and Mr. Weinzheimer said, you know, where can I put up a ballpark for all the employees to play ball at? And they came up with the idea, well, let's go fill in that pond that's overgrown with weeds and generating mosquitoes.
They did fill it in, they did cover it over, and it did become a park.
That was where Eddie stumbled and fell, running to first base. The ball field in the park, atop the sacred ground of Mokuhinia Pond, the home of goddess Kihawahine, daughter of King Pi'ilani, and Moku'ula, the island home of Kamehameha III.
That island is supposed to have a cave underneath there where that spirit was always present. So this is the Mecca, the sacred of sacred, the holy of holies.
Keopuolani, sacred wife of Kamehameha I and mother of Kamehameha II and III, was of Pi'ilani lineage. That linked her to the goddess Kihawahine and the island of Moku'ula, and added to the mana of the site.
This was a place where high chiefs worked with heavenly beings.
Today, the heritage of the island finally is being unearthed. A citizens group, the Friends of Moku'ula, commissioned Bishop Museum to perform the first archaeological survey in 1993.
I was a product of the University of Hawaii. I'm a cultural anthropologist. The first time that I went to the actual site, I was extremely excited to be on the property and look around and get that real context. Was incredible, and I spent many hours walking that baseball field, envisioning what it must look like, and it was incredibly exciting. It has been buried for at least 92 years, and when we were uncovering features, we would find things such as a wooden pier, totally intact. Of course, it's high and dry right now. It's a long ways away from the water. We found stone walls still intact. Apparently, they simply filled up to the level of the island and then just covered it over with about a meter or so of fill. Now, that serves as a cap, ironically, to protect everything underneath that. So nothing was graded as far as we can tell, nothing was pulled down, that everything that was there in 1914 standing on the surface is intact.
You're standing right now on Moku'ula Island, which encompasses 1 acre, including part of the parking lot that you're on, and it stretches along this stone wall and reaches out into the park until about 3rd base.
As people come to witness the historic element of Kauai Keauli and all the challenges he had at that time, outside his front door were sailors and whalers and westernization occurring. But yet he was still charged with keeping what is important for his people. We still do that today. History as a voice. If you're paying attention, you can hear it. To me, Moku'ula is one of those voices.
Next to Mokohinia Pond stands Wyola Church. Originally called Waine'e, it was one of the first churches built by missionary settlers.
Waine'e is built abridging that sacred pond, and it was at one time only sacred things were there.
Some key figures in the Kamehameha Ohana had been interred on Moku'ula. The monuments at nearby Wyola Church stand as a reminder of their influence and mana. Another enduring legacy of the Ali'i in Lahaina is education. In 1823, Ho'opili, appointed governor of Maui by Kamehameha I, granted a large tract of land to the missionaries for the purpose of creating a Western-style school, one of the many waves of change brought to Lahaina by the missionaries.
Lahainaluna was established by the missionaries, and most definitely is the pride of Lahaina. It is the first school that was built in Hawaii. It was the first school built west of the Rocky Mountains. People would send their children from California over to Hawaii in order to go to school.
My father went to Lahainaluna school. In 1912 he graduated. 1909 he went there. And he met my mother there. You know, there was Halipai, they had a printing press there. So my father learned printing, worked downtown at a print shop.
Lahainaluna was a pioneer in adopting 19th century printing press technology. The school got a press in 1834 and used it to print the first Hawaiian language newspaper.
It was there that the teachers had the foresight to request that Hawaiian cultural information be brought to the school. They were able to record it in newspapers, in primers, and in books. So Lahainaluna was our center of education.
Hawaiians excelled in the new educational system. During the monarchy, Lahainaluna graduates were highly regarded and filled key government positions. Many rose to prominence: David Malo, Samuel Kamakau, and John Papai'i. They held important posts in the Hawaiian kingdom. Their writings are some of the most valuable historical resources about society, government, and life in 19th century Hawaii.
Their legacy is what we have inherited and what we continue today. Wisdom, perseverance, work. The roots grow deep, traditions grow deep, and it's those traditions that are passed on from one generation to the rest.
In 1849, the American Board of Foreign Missions transferred Lahainaluna to the Hawaiian government. After the turn of the century, the school shifted to a stronger focus on vocational education.
And at that time, it was only boys that brought it here in Lahainaluna. And then for them to learn how to work, for them to learn how to live by themselves. And then, you know, some of them, yeah, they cry babies. But after a while, they grow up.
When I first came, it was strictly farming, agriculture, you know, plant vegetables, pull weeds. In fact, we spent more time pulling weeds.
This was the poultry from here all the way up. You know, we raised somewhere about 6,000 chickens or more.
In 1923, Lahainaluna became part of the territorial public school system. By this time, it had broadened beyond vocational training to emphasizing academics and preparing students for college.
My father graduated from Lahainaluna. He started here boarding while he was in the 6th grade, and he did graduate in 1926, so we heard all about Lahainaluna. And we're such a close group also in Lahaina because most of us went to school together, grade school on up through high school.
West Maui is a community by itself, and with all the multicultural background that we grew up with and came here, mentioned about rich traditions, and with that, a sense of pride.
They all work together, even in sports, school, and whatever they take part in. So I think that's what Lahainaluna is all about, you know. You gotta, no matter what race you are, they all work together.
We have these traditions, and as progress comes in, we try to balance that by teaching all of our students the sense of giving, sense of sharing, and the sense of continuity. Our alma mater talks about how the torch of learning can never, ever be extinguished, even by the fiercest winds of Ka'ua'ula.
Those winds, it is said, return every 50 years and are so strong they have demolished buildings, such as the original church at Waine'e. But Lahainaluna School remains unscathed. In 2006, the school marked its 175th anniversary, celebrating its traditions, heritage, and spirit.
Many people think of Lahaina only as a tourist town. When you drive through there, all you can see are visitors and all the things that cater to visitors. However, Lahaina has been home for generations upon generations of people.
The people in Lahaina are very concerned about Lahaina, its people, the town, not losing any of this, this beautiful area. And also bringing the old people back to Lahaina town. So people can come from other parts of the world and come to a special place in Hawaii and experience the lifestyle, the people, and the culture.
Cultural tourism is important because there's so many visitors. West Maui get 20,000 residents that live there, but about 180,000 visitors every month. But if all of them can understand what is important from the culture, and they all can become ambassadors of that preservation, from that preservation becomes the perpetuation. Hawaiian music in my restaurant, 7 days a week. I found that it really added an element to my restaurant. Visitors from across the world would come in and go, I have no idea what this guy is saying, but this feels good.
The tourist loves this. They love the Taste of Lahaina Festival. They love Halloween parade. They love the Canoe Festival.
Four years ago, myself and a few others got together to address some of the erosion of the Kamehameha base here in the metropolitan area here on Maui, like Lahaina. The critical issue was that without Kamehameha in the town itself, the aloha spirit in and of itself starts to erode.
There's a delicate balance between the needs of Kamehameha and the needs of tourism. The challenge is to maintain the balance, keep development reasonable and sustainable, strengthen the connection between the culture, the land, and the people who live there. Cultivate the sense of aloha for those who visit.
What the celebration of canoes has done is we've assembled some of the greatest carvers throughout all of the Pacific region. And we sit together, and it's their greatest desire to share secrets with each other.
Throughout history, Lahaina was an important marker for navigators who guided Polynesian canoes on voyages across the Pacific.
This is a fishing canoe. The design is based on a dolphin. Okay.
Are you really going to use it?
Yeah, if I don't use it, I don't make it. doing well. You are natural. I believe the waka is the heart of Polynesia. The waka is a community in itself, as far as I'm concerned. It's got the corridor on it, which is the history. It's got the professionals for navigation on it. It's got the professionals for traditional medicine. It is a complete community. And because the waka is the heart of Polynesia, I can't resist coming.
The sharing among the carvers of all these countries sort of meshes the cultures together. And in so doing, there's constant revelations of bonding in language, in gods and goddesses, and value structure. Keeping the pride back into a historic town of Lahaina, the perpetuity of Lahaina's culture can be further investigated and discovered as opposed to eroded. And at the end of the rainbow, the children will have something to learn from and to make the discoveries for their children and their grandchildren.
Aloha Maui.
Lahaina is a jewel. Fresh water, ocean port, West Maui mountains shielding it. Special place. Probably even more special because of the people that live there, that grew up there.
I've seen a lot of changes because those days I learned how to swim in the front street area. A leaning coconut tree, I still remember I would go up there and jump off. You know? I still remember the times. But today is different.
Well, Uncle, as you say all the time, change will come. And Lahaina has changed so much. Starting with the hillside and all the cane that was there just not long ago, it seems like. Now it's all gone. Now that cane field will all get houses, and not houses that we can live in. Houses built for people that already get money, that don't need work. And so the kids of the plantation workers don't have homes that they can afford. The saddest impact is the legacy is broken. That family, the home, the mango tree even, that used to be the pico of the family. The legacy is broken, the value structure is gone. It makes you wonder what could happen to our children.
My time, yeah, they used to help each other. Like us guys, we go fishing, we come home, we give the neighbor some fish, some hay, we give, they come back, they give some, the cow, That's how it was before.
Everybody family.
Family, yeah, everybody, they call each other family. But even though the skin different, but ohana.
Time's changing. Still, you have a responsibility to attach the legacy from the past to the future. If you gotta invent ways to do it, you gotta do that too. Because it's not out there. You cannot say to the kids, go look. Most of it's gone. The Lahaina tomorrow probably not gonna have too many of those go there look. Say mokuhula.
hope they all know the story of Kauai Keauli and the challenges, because we're facing the same things today.
Just as the soul of Lahaina is illuminated by its unfolding legacy, Eddie's own journey was one of precious discovery. In his connection to Lahaina lay a family jewel in danger of passing forgotten to the years. That long-hidden gem revealed itself to be a cultural treasure.
I came to Lahaina looking for someone that I heard about, that my grandmother taught as a student, the only student. And so her name was Emma Sharp. I was so happy to find someone that knew my grandmother.
Kauhailikua, who lived not very far from us, used to be one of the dancers in King Kalakaua's time. I went with her daughter-in-law, who was a friend of mine, so we went up to ask her. She said, I've given that up. I'm a priest now, and I'm priestess, and I have only that to do. And so I said, well, you better teach me that, because when you die, you're going to take all this knowledge with you. And what do we have? We have nothing. She said, okay, I'll teach you.
I said, also, can I ask you, by any chance, is there any material of chants or songs that my grandmother wrote that you have by any chance? She says, no, Eddie. She said, you're too late. I said, why? She said, because when your grandmother died, all her material, all the songs and chants were buried with her.
Your grandmother composed a lot of hula songs. And she was a very gentle lady. She was olu olu. She greeted people with love and aloha. And I would like very much to carry on that way. And being that's your grandma, you should carry on that way.
The journey's end revealed what Eddie had sought, a graceful, memorable moment of Hawaiian poetry set to song.
Kananaka is the name of that noho dance. Who wrote it? Your grandma. That's her song. She composed it, and she did it.
Nani vale ia puwe one ikana luhe e mai a o kananaka kahia mako a ehe e ai a ita ehu o ke kai a ita ehu o ke kai o kamahina i ke alo ho'ola ila ia na laina pali po ina vehi ke ona asoni ma e ele i se sino asoni ma e ele i se sino nani vale ia puwe one ikana luhe e mai a o kananaka kahia mako
By discovering his grandmother's song, Eddie has reconnected with his childhood days in Lahaina.
Hey, no, kanana.
Through tennis lessons from Shigesh Wakida, Lahaina children discovered the plantation values of hard, honest work and respect for their elders. By learning the history of their school, each new class of Lahainaluna students discovers its rich tradition of education. Through cultural tourism, Events such as the Festival of Canoes, residents and visitors alike will discover ancient art forms. By unearthing the remnants of Mokohinia Pond and Moku'ula Island, archaeologists and historians will help future generations discover the mana of the site and the legacy of Kawikiaʻule. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. Lahaina remains a sacred Hawaiian place, not because of what has been built upon it, but because of what is in the hearts of the people who live there.
Wah 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 wah. Ba da ba ba da. Ba da ba da ba da. I'm going to Maui tomorrow, to marry tomorrow, my Lord. Nothing would be finer than to be in Lahaina, to make tomorrow my home. I'll smile on the isles of the valley and live a life of delight, 'cause I'm going to Maui to marry tomorrow, unless I get lucky tonight. Huh. Wop, 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 wop. Wop, 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 pop, 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 wop, pop, 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 pop,
Major funding for this program provided by James and Abigail Campbell Family Foundation, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Pacific Islanders and Communications, and the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts.